Hi everyone, it's Denise Murtha here again from Denise Designed, visiting you this month because we are doing another monthly Google Hangout. As you may or may not know, at Crafty Hangouts every month we do a different craft. Sometimes I participate and sometimes not. Last month was the mason jar craft, and I did not participate in that one. But this one we have an exciting and fun one, especially now that it's May and the kids are beginning to wind down and actually start summer vacation. So giving you either a craft that you can make for them or that they can make with you. So this month's craft is specifically designed for kids, and it is sponsored by Coates and Clark, and it is using Phoomph for fabric, and that's Phoomph, Phoomph for fabric. Can you see that? What we are going to make is a kid's bookmark that they can use for any of their books that they are currently or will be soon reading during the summer break. And I made this one specifically for my daughter Emma, but you can do this as a craft with them as well and keep them busy, give them something fun to do. So what you're going to need is you're going to need your fabric of choice. You can either buy a fabric that has a print, and that way you can cut it out, and I'll explain that in a second yourself as from the fabric itself, or you can find a pattern that you would like to use. And the pattern can be anything from an animal. Of course, I used a flower. You could use a heart. There are a million different options. You could cut them from printed out from the internet as a clip art. You could get a stencil. There are a lot of different options. But you will also then need your Phoomph for fabric. It comes in either stiff or soft. And I actually chose soft because I'm going to use two and I'll show you more about that in a second. But you can use either the stiff or the soft. You're going to need some type of ribbon, and you'll need either a pencil or a pen. So what I did was I took, the good thing about this Phoomph fabric is that you don't have to sew. It's also adhesive. It has a adhesive backing on both sides, so you don't have to use glue or anything unless you want to get really creative and do something fun and out of the ordinary that would require extra materials. Otherwise, it's pretty simple. So what you do is, and by the way, the Phoomph actually comes in different colors. Now I chose a black backing because if you notice, my ribbon has some black in it as well. And that way anything, if it showed any, you could see some of that black and it tied it all in together. So what you do, both sides are adhesive. You take one side and you pull the adhesive back. I'm not going to use this whole piece, so I'm actually going to cut some of it before I continue. So I've cut it. I'm going to pull my adhesive backing off, and I'm going to put my fabric. Let's see if I can move this down a little. You can see it. I'm going to lay my fabric down on it. No ironing needed. It's pretty fabulous. You just smooth it out. All right, easy. Now, I'm going to flip it over. Since I didn't do a really good job of cutting my fabric to map specifically to the size of the Phoomph, I will put the backing back on for the time being. I will take my handy dandy pattern, and I will now draw my flower. Now, if you'll notice, let me show you, both sides have fabric and both ends have fabric. So in essence, I used 4 pieces. So I went ahead and cut 3 pieces already so that you could already see those. But I will now cut my 4th one. First I will obviously trace it. Pencil might actually be better. As you'll notice, I had my nails have not been professionally done. I apologize. Ooh, we'll have to fix that in a second. My nails have not been professionally done, so they don't look fabulous like some of the other beautiful women who already have theirs done because we all know that they do show. Sorry about that. That was a little embarrassing. Then you're going to cut your flower out. Now, rather than going through that process for so long, I'm making you watch me do that entire cut. Talk a little bit about Phoomph for fabrics, for some great ideas or for anything that you want to other products that you want to see. You can go to coatesandclark.com, check all that out. The good thing is you cut the fabric is you don't have to do anything to the sides. There's no fraying that would happen because, fabulously enough, as you cut it, it almost is like it binds the fabric to the adhesive. So I'm cutting it all out. It does take a few minutes. I also, because the flower is not perfectly symmetrical, each petal, I took kind of a cartoonish kind of flower. I actually traced 2 fronts and 2 backs so that I could try to map them to somewhat the same, so I didn't have to do a whole lot of cleanup on them, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Because unless you're absolutely perfect at both tracing and cutting, you're going to have a little bit of cleanup that you're going to need to do. The other option is you can get fabric that already has a flower or any design that you want. They're usually all pretty symmetrical, or you can find, and I mean by symmetrical, I mean they look almost identical, and you can probably find even something different than just a heart or a whatever you want to call a flower. You can probably find something that will enable you to cut each piece identically so that you don't have to do necessarily a front and a back because it's already in essence really much done for you since they're all the same. However, because there's a little bit of room for error in both my tracing and my cutting, I figured I would do fronts and backs, and I even labeled them with front and back on them so that I knew. And I considered obviously one side was the front and the other side was the back, and so I flipped it over one way or the other. All right, so now I've got all these done. I'm going to take and cut my ribbon, and quite frankly, you can cut any size. It depends on the books that they read. Now I cut a really long one because it fit perfectly, for example, in this hard-covered Dr. Seuss book, or in the Dr. Seuss family, and it gave it a little bit of extra room there so that it hangs out. You could cut it shorter, and I'm actually going to cut one a little shorter so you can see the difference. I'm going to put a front. Here's my front. I'm going to put the fabric or the ribbon on the inside of it. And then I'm going to find a piece that has the back labeled on it. And attach that. So, if you look very closely, you will see that they don't match up quite completely perfect in some areas. So in that instance, I'll just do a little bit of cutting and cleanup. Because like I said, unless you're absolutely perfect in both tracing and in cutting, you're going to have a little bit of a difference. But that was why I did a black backing on it, so that if there was a little bit of a difference, it's okay. So it doesn't have to be perfect. But because it does with the black on the ribbon, kind of helps bring it all together. Again, I'm doing a little bit of cleanup on this topple piece. I'll show you what it looks like in a second. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, you know, the kids are not going to care. But there you go. There's my top piece. Now see, there's still a little bit of black here and there. Like I see one now even more, and it's kind of annoying me, so I'm going to clean that up a little bit more. And there you go. Much better. All right, now it's time to do the bottom half. Again, you're obviously going to take, because that's all that's left, a front and a back. You're going to attach it like the last one. Matching them up as closely as you can. You find it. You can also stop by for more fun, great Google Hangout crafts from Crafty Hangouts. You can stop by our website and check out some of the fabulous crafts that we've done in the past. Both give you some great ideas and, more importantly, some great tutorials. Right, this one's becoming a little bit more complicated. It's not turning out quite as... I'm going to clean this one up before I even show you. Again, I think you'll find some great ideas for this week. There's there's at least one craft, if not multiple ones, every day happening. So you should be able to find some great examples of some other things that you can do that can give you some inspiration with the Phoomph for fabric projects. Some are probably easier than this one in that you aren't trying to match up a couple of sides like this and didn't do like a freehand or a shapey type of craft here, a shapely type of craft that actually requires some cleanup. But I think you'll find this one a whole lot of fun when it's done. And you know, there's so many different things that you could do that would require less editing like I'm doing here. I just happen to love, because her pink is her favorite color, and we love flowers. And I didn't have a fabric that had a flower in pink. Now I had flowers in red, various others, but that would not match or meet her favorite color scheme. So I'm almost done, and I'll show you the final product. Again, go to craftyhangouts.com for some more fabulous ideas, both for the current projects this week, as well as many others, like our mason jar crafts. I did not participate in those, but there were some fabulous ones. There was one month where weddings were highlighted and some crafts that you could do for your upcoming weddings. A lot of great and fabulous ideas, and we've got a fabulous team working together. A lot of great talent. So when you stop by Crafty Hangouts, be sure to look at the meet the team there, and stop by some of their individual pages. Check them out, see what they do. Different crafts that they have on their site that may not be specific to Google Hangouts, but just maybe tons of great DIY and crafty tutorial types of stuff. My blog is a blog of home design and a little bit of everything, so all right, and there you go. Now you have a fabulous bookmark. This one is a little bit shorter than the other one, so it does not fit this book quite as beautifully as the other, but I'll give you at least what the end product looks like. And there you go. Now you have a fabulous bookmark. And again, this is something fun that the kids can do themselves, or that you can do as a gift for them. So I'd like to thank you again for stopping by and visiting me this month with Coates and Clark as our sponsor, and utilizing Phoomph for fabric. So be sure to go out and check them out at coatesandclark.com, as well as, again, as a reminder, be sure to go check out the craftyhangouts.com, see the team, all the various different hangouts from the past, and more specifically the hangouts from this week. Get a lot of great pieces of inspiration for you. I wish you guys luck. I will also have the tutorial version of this shortly thereafter. May not be right away, but I'll most certainly have it for you. Thanks, everyone. Have a fabulous weekend, and I look forward to seeing you here again for our next Crafty Hangout.